Okay, well, I was really pleased with the effort of our team last Saturday. Uh, we had a lot of people hurt, a lot of people out, and especially offensively, and the kids responded and stepped up and play. I was proud of Matthew Jordan and the young offensive line that had to play, and then defensively we got some big plays, got some turnovers, got some sacks, and helped contribute to what was a pretty good upset win for us there in Blacksburg, which is a tough place to play.
Got questions for Coach Johnson?
This series, most of the time has been, the home field advantage has played a prominent role. Do you see that as part of what you've seen over the last, 7 or 8 years?
You talking about with Virginia?
Yeah.
Uh, I guess I think we've lost to them maybe 3 times since I've been here. Uh, I think we've lost once here and twice up there. So it's been usually at close games. Uh, I think that in the past the two teams have been, they've just kind of played some close games. But that's kind of the nature of our league.
Next question for Coach Johnson.
Can you just talk a little bit about some of your seniors, Freddie and Justin, and kind of what they've meant to the program over the years?
Yeah, well, we don't have very many seniors on our team, especially offensively. I mean, last week we didn't have any. I guess Ike played some, but those guys. What happens is you develop relationships with them and you get close to them, and they've won a lot of big games here. I mean, they were part of the team that finished 7th in the country, and won the Orange Bowl, and they've been in a couple ACC championship games. So they've seen a lot of football here defensively. We've got a few more seniors. We'll lose P.J. Davis and Pat Gamble and Francis Rook. Some of those guys that have played a lot. I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out. Chase Alford. But anytime that you get to the end of it, I was telling somebody a little earlier, it gets kind of emotional for you as a coach out there on the field, because when they come out with their parents for the ceremony, you realize it's the last time. And like I said, from the time you started recruiting them till now, you've spent, in the most part, 5 years with them. So it's kind of bittersweet. It's neat to see them move on and hopefully be successful outside of football for most of them. But it's still kind of bittersweet.
Actually, Michael Munns, the walk-on, obviously not as.
I always leave somebody out. Yeah.
I'm sure it was intentional. What has he meant? Just as a guy who doesn't get the playing time.
Well, Michael's the epitome of a team player. I mean, he whatever we've asked him to do, he's fought through injuries. He's he goes out to practice and gives his best. I think this past off season he kind of took it on his own to try to help Shamir. With the weight and with this, that, and the other, he kind of shadowed him, and we'd go walk with him and do some of that stuff. And so, I think that if you ask our team, for a walk-on guy who doesn't play, he actually got quite a few votes for captain, really.
Considering that Virginia's on a 5-game losing streak, how often have you remind your team or had any specific talks with them about just kind of, how Virginia is going to come into this game really hungry and keeping the guys focused on not overlooking them?
Well, we talked a lot about it yesterday. Not that, but Virginia is a much better team than their record. They've had a real issue with turning the ball over, and if you watch the tapes, they've been in every game. Even the game with Miami, it was 17-14. Late in the game, or at least late in the first half, and every game has been like that. So if they, you've got to get ready to play our best game. I try to caution my guys. We don't worry so much about the other team. as we do ourselves. And we've yet to play our best game on offense, defense, and special teams all together. And so that's the goal, to shoot for that. We've talked about we can get to 500 in the conference. I don't think that prior to last year, I don't think that we had a losing record in the league. So that's certainly important to me. I hope it's important to them. Positioning yourself for whatever bowl game you play, and like I said, trying to get as many wins as you can. You got to get 7 before you can get 8. So there's a lot for us to play for. Senior Day, and I'm sure Virginia's going to come in here and play maybe their best game. So you got to get ready for it.
So too, how do you the significance of getting back to bowl eligibility, and then kind of what you said on Saturday, that you want the guys to know that you want a lot more than that, just getting back to a bowl at 6-6 was not the goal, and where you can go from here.
Well, I don't think that anybody on our team wanted to go to be 6-6 when the season started. You have goals and you try to play for them, and you reach. My job, once that looks like those initial goals are gone, is to try to find a carrot to stick in front of them to say, hey, here's what we're trying to do now. The guys are smart. You start out 1-3 in the league, they can figure out you're probably not going to win your division. So it's like you keep playing until you're mathematically eliminated, and that was what my mantra was. Hey, you got a chance. And actually, had we gone to Chapel Hill and won the game, we would have had a chance. But we didn't, and so that went by the wayside. And so my next thing was, okay, bowl eligible, winning season, get to 9. I've told our team since that point, we have a chance to get to 9 wins. The best of my recollection, if you look back 50 years, it's happened 8 times. So it's something special. That's not, people might want to think they won 9 every year, but that's – so if you can get to 9 wins, that's a pretty successful season. Now, you didn't get your goals, but all in all, if you looked at it realistically, you'd have to say that's a pretty good year. So that's the thing that you kind of try to dangle in front of them. Every team, when they start out, every team's goal is to win their conference and play in the playoffs, but there's 124 that fall short.
Coach, in various pressers this season, and especially you emphasized on a little bit last week about the team getting off the field on 3rd downs. Are you feeling more confident about that happening more and more each game, starting with last week and going into the one this weekend?
We were a little better last week. They were still 8 of 14, so we still weren't good. But what we did do is we got a 4th down stop and we got some turnovers, so we got off the field that way. They lost the possession on fumbling the kickoff return. So we got off the field and we gave the offense some good field position a week ago. If you can do that, it's not as magnified, but it's still an issue. And last week we'd been really good offensively on 3rd down. Last week we weren't very good on 3rd down on offense. We created ourselves too many 3rd and long with penalties. We stopped 4 drives with motion penalties. And while it's tough to hear up there, and that's a hard place to play, and that's unacceptable, you can't do that and survive. But 3rd down's still a big deal.
You go week to week. Obviously, you don't get too high or too low. But after what the defense had heard over the previous 2 weeks about how
Previous 4 weeks.
Is it easier heading into this week to prepare for this week, coming off of the game they had, than it may have been? Like the cloud may have lifted on them a little bit. Do you feel that?
Well, you hope that they got some confidence and some juice, some energy. The way the game started was perfect for it because, we got a couple of turnovers. We got ahead. We made some big plays on defense. So we got a little juice going. Hopefully you can carry it over. You hope. I'm sure they were tired of hearing it.
We have time for 1 or 2 more for Coach Johnson.
Virginia has some good athletes on defense, and last year they did a good job of containing Justin in the run game and I guess caused him to throw some more passes. What did you see from them last year in that respect?
Well, I think it's a whole different deal this year. It's a different coaching staff. but you know, Bronco historically has always been good defensively. They got the 2 leading tacklers in the league, if I'm not mistaken, and Kaiser, the linebacker, and Lanning, the safety, who the safety may very well be one of the best defensive players in the league, if not the best. You know, they've got some good players on defense, and like I said, they've played pretty good until they've just kind of killed themselves with turnovers. I fully expect they're going to come in here and have a good plan. I fully expect us to go out there with a good plan, and we'll see. You know, we'll have to adjust and go off what's happening on the thing. We have played BYU a couple times, so there's both teams probably have some idea of what's going to happen on that side of the ball. And really, it's the same Robert and I guess, as the offensive coordinator on the other side who was at BYU as well. So it's not like we haven't played each other.